Welcome to Relearning Arithmetic. Why relearn arithmetic? The whole point of this series is to get back to a solid foundation. As a tutor for over 10 years, I myself learned that many problems with later math concepts, from advanced arithmetic through early calculus, came down to foundational problems. For example, if John needs 3 eggs to make a cake, but only has 2 eggs, he has a real problem. Most of us would just think he needs to go to the market and get more eggs. But how would you view that as an exercise in arithmetic? You would need to use negative numbers. Another example would be trying to solve for x in 4 plus x equals 2. This also requires a solid understanding of negative numbers. Unfortunately, I found that many students never quite grasp the concept of negative numbers. Don't worry if this example didn't make sense. That was algebra. What we're talking about is arithmetic. But arithmetic is required for algebra. Arithmetic is the foundation on which algebra is built. How will we do this? Over time as a tutor, I developed a system and taught successful workshops to test that system. My system used an achievement grid. This grid allows us to plan our lessons and chart our progress. On the top, I've clearly labeled all the concepts we'll be covering. On the bottom, I've abbreviated those labels so we can use this grid throughout the lessons. Once the grid is complete, we will have reviewed all the most foundational topics in arithmetic. How does the grid work? Here's the lesson plan as I've laid it out. We will cover these concepts in order, where 1 is the first lesson and 16 is the last lesson. The numbers may seem a bit out of order, but there's a good reason for that. For example, it's hard to explain subtraction with whole numbers unless you understand addition with integers, which include negative numbers, because some of the answers to the subtraction exercises with whole or only positive numbers are actually negative numbers. This will become more obvious as we proceed through the lessons. To be clear though, there will still be more concepts in arithmetic leading up to higher levels of mathematics, but for the students entering college who were having so much trouble, this was the foundation they needed. For most students, once I reviewed these concepts, the other concepts in arithmetic mostly fell into place and allowed them to pass the entrance exams that allowed them to get into the remedial classes and eventually succeed in math. To work our way through this tutorial, each lesson will have a list of exercises at the end for practice and another video that runs through the solutions. You'll find links on each video that can take you in several different directions. You can use them to test yourself before watching the lessons, or just follow through the lessons and exercises as if this was a regular class. If you want to go through this quickly, I recommend starting with Lesson 1 exercises and check your work with the answers. If that goes well, you could move forward through the lesson exercises until you either complete the whole series or find yourself having difficulty. If that happens, I recommend you go back to that lesson or even the one before it. That should help reinforce the concept, and then you can continue forward as before. Finally, I just want to mention that I am familiar with both No Child Left Behind and Common Core, and I know that this lesson plan may not follow the recommended order for either of them. What I intend to do here is review only these concepts without muddying the water with other concepts such as irrational numbers, roots, or geometry. Those are fine in the larger K-12 scheme, and there are valid reasons for presenting them when they are presented. This series is more about reviewing troublesome concepts in an order that pulls them all together. It is intended for all ages, whether you're going back a few years or several decades. I've been wanting to do this series for years, so let's get started. As always, I welcome any constructive feedback you may have. Click on the info link in the upper right corner to find the first lesson. I'll see you there.